So, good morning, everyone, and good evening for some of you. Thank you for joining us today. Um, my name is Tom Romansky, and I'll be moderating this session. I'm really excited to welcome you back to our webinar series on designing winning customer experiences. Some of you may remember that we ran part one of this series last year, and it sparked some fantastic discussions and was probably one of our most successful sessions. So today we're building on that momentum with part two, where we'll dive deep into the strategies, challenges, and some of the best practices that truly define customer experience in digital banking and beyond. I'm joined by a brilliant panel of colleagues from Code-Based Technologies who bring unique perspectives and expertise to the conversation. So with us, we have Tanaswari Ravindran. She's one of our UI UX leads, and she's been shaping intuitive and engaging digital journeys for our clients across the region, from APAC to MENA and beyond. Welcome, Tanaswari. And we have joining us as well Asfar Yusuf. He is also a UI UX lead, has very extensive experience designing seamless, scalable customer interfaces and experiences that really connect our clients to their customers. Thanks for joining us, Asfar, and looking forward to hearing all your insights on this session. And joining us from Bahrain is Ali Al Tuk, our business analyst director. So Ali helps bridge the gap between the customer needs and the product innovation, and the design and the look and feel of the experiences, and looking at it through a very sharp strategic lens. Thank you for joining us, Ali, and looking forward to what you're going to share with us as well. So together we'll explore how businesses can design experiences that don't just look good, but actually deliver measurable impact, experiences that drive engagement, retention, and long-term loyalty. So we're going to be looking at three key pillars of building exceptional customer experiences, and those are enabling automation to simplify processes, creating a culture of continuous testing and iteration, and unlocking the power of personalization to make every interaction more meaningful. So with that, let's dive in and get started. So in financial services specifically, customer experience has become the ultimate differentiator. So products can be copied, pricing can be matched, but the way a customer feels when they interact with a bank or financial brand or app, that's what really builds trust and long-term loyalty. And what's unique about our industry is that customer experience really sits at the intersection of two forces. Business teams are looking at market needs, regulation, revenue models, while the design teams are shaping how people actually engage with the products and services on a screen. So when these forces align, we don't just launch a product, we deliver a financial experience that feels effortless, feels secure, feels empowering. So at Code-Based Technologies, this is really the foundation of our innovative spirit. Every time we work with a client, whether it's a large bank or a small budding fintech startup, we bring business analysts and UX designers and UI designers together into the process from day one. So that collaboration really ensures that we're not just solving a functional problem, we're actually trying to reimagine how people save, borrow, invest, and pay in ways that are intuitive and human-centered. And in a hyper-competitive financial landscape, that's where the real advantage lies. Customers have endless alternatives, but ultimately they'll choose the brand that makes their financial lives easier, more transparent, and more rewarding. And by committing to design excellence and innovation, we help our clients not just keep up, but stand out. So I think that's why today's conversation or conversations like the one we're having today are very important. They remind us that in fintech, winning in the customer experience space isn't just an outcome of good design or strong business strategy. They're actually a result of multiple teams working hand in hand together and with the client and with partners to create financial journeys that people truly value and hopefully are able to improve people's lives. So with kind of that little preamble, I'd like to hand over to Ali to start us off on the session and tell us a little bit about enabling automation and his kind of strategies and ideas behind that. So Ali, please over to you.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, everyone. So when we talk about enabling the automation, when we are talking mainly on our digital landscapes, as a business analyst, one of the most important things we do is look beyond the surface of what customer sees. Customer don't see business processes. They don't just feel them. They feel when service is slow, when it's confusing, when they have to keep following up with the bank. Behind the pain are usually complex manual processes, forms, approvals, handouts, verification. Our role is to understand these processes in details, to break them down and find ways to redesign them so they become seamless for the customer. Today, I will be sharing with you how we can do that through two levers. First, breaking down complex tasks into smaller ones, guided steps, and second, embedding automation where it adds the most value. I will also walk you through a real example for one of our products, which is advanced salary, to show how it is translate into real impact. So the first step is always understanding the complexity. That means mapping out the as is a process in detail. That includes every form gets filled, every approval step, every system that's touched, and every handoff between department. Often when you see this laid out, you realize that just how much duplication there is, how much bottlenecks. Customers are asked to provide the same information multiple times. Staff spends hours on manual checks, manual inputs, and all of that can be automated. All of that drives on creation more customer journey to provide the service to the customers, and that's create more bottlenecks. Breaking down the process means taking this big, messy pictures and decomposing it into logical, smaller stages instead of a 12 stage or 12 steps maze. You might restructure it into three clear push phases: input, validation, and approval. As a BA, we don't just simplify for the customer, we also make it easier for the business to manage it and scale it. Step is about clarify. We can't automate showers, so we first have to make sense the process and reshape it into something that's simple and structured. Once we have broken down the process, the next step is automation. But automation is not just about efficiency for the business, it's about creating frictionless experience for the customer also. Think about how customer perceive it. They don't want to enter the same information three times. If the system already know their salary or IDs or employment history, why should the customer keep writing it, keep inputting it? This is where auto-fetching the data makes a huge difference for us. The customer enters the information once and we keep fetching it. Automation also means removing delays instead of waiting for people for manually forwarding or requesting. A workflow engine can route it instantly. Approval can happen in sequence or parallel. Even approvals can be automated. Depending on the business rules and customers don't need to chase anyone. Finally, automation should always include transparency. Customers want to know what's happening. Automated notification, like your request has been approved, your request has been rejected, you get your salary, we've done the payout for you. This is give confidence to the customers and reduce anxiety for the customer also. As a BA, our role here is to identify which steps are best candidate for automation, ensuring we balance speed with control also. Okay, so let's dive into example. We have advanced salary. We selected that specific process to mainly show what we have done on it. So the as is a process or the before process to require the customer to go to a branch, fill up forms, take approvals, manual checks, which takes like 2 to 3 hours to get the advanced salary to the end customer. While once we laid it down, broke it down, simplified it, and automated it, we reached to the after process. Next slide, Jafar. Okay, so on the after process, we clearly broken down the steps. We provided this service on mobile app. It is automated. Data is validated. We don't require the customer to fill forms, ask for approvals, and we give him all the notifications. He knows the progress, and we reduce the whole journey for the customers from hours to 60 seconds to complete the whole process. Next slide, Jaffer. So The biggest, sorry, yeah, that's one. Okay. So the biggest difference for us, like we reduce the steps from more than 6 steps to 2 steps, from 2 to 3 hours to 60 seconds. Previously, the banks needed 3 physical staff to take the request from the customer, validate it, approve it. Now, there is no physical staff required on that whole process, which impacted the bank on better adoption, higher satisfaction rates, increased engagement, improved revenue for the bank. So one of the main key takeaways, okay, that we cannot improve customer experience without first understanding the complexity behind it. As a business analyst, our value is in making sense of these processes, breaking them down into something manageable, and then automate them. It's where it truly matters. This approach does not benefit the customers only, it benefits the businesses as well. The customers will enjoy faster, easier service. The business will reduce their operational costs, errors, and bottlenecks. So the formula is simple: understand deeply, simplify first, then automate it. That's how we transform complex manual processes into seamless customer experience.
Thank you for that, Ali. That was really insightful. So really kind of it all starts with looking at, let's say, the business and the process holistically and seeing where you can sort of chop the fat, as they say, right? Cut the fat and make it as sort of lean and streamlined in terms of not just like the app, right? But actually the process first and the strategy before you even go to the app. So I think that's an interesting point to mention, right? It's not about just going to a client saying, okay, we'll build you a digital app, or whether it's lending app or payments or digital banking. It's actually we'll look at your process first and help you optimize your operation before we even go to that, step of building and designing an actual digital app, right?
You are totally correct. We need to understand why they have done that way. Because
Mm,
for sure, if they created a complex process, they have their own reasoning behind it. From our perspective, how technology can enable you on how to automate it, how to simplify it, and still we keep the same controls, we keep the same compliance regulations. We don't want to just preach that in order to give a better customer experience.
of course, you're right. Loyalty and trust, right? It has to be always at the core of things. No, that's perfect. That's great. So I think that kind of leads nicely into our next section, which is, once we're obviously creating or working on these designs and processes and stuff, is making sure that whatever we create is going to be the right thing, right? So how do you know that what we've done is the right thing? Like I might like a design or process, but is that going to actually work for customers, right? So that's where I think testing and iterating is a very important aspect. So I think let's have a little look at that and see how testing and iterate forms part of that creation of a winning customer experience.
All right, thanks, Tom. Thank you, Ali. Ali just showed us how complexity can be transformed into automation. But one thing in my mind, once automated, what's next? We need to design experience that feel simple, effortless, and more importantly, human. That's what I will talk today. Designing customer experience and how we do it through a test and iterate. So I'm gonna there's test and iterate. There's so many things that we can cover, but today I'm gonna show you 4 points that I'm usually doing in my process. And then I'm gonna show you break down the 2 point, and then I will show the some for example on the case study, and then another 2 point, and then another case study. So we're gonna go to the first 2 point, which is the iteration create excellent, and also throw away the goods. So these 2 points is important when you test and iterate, because why iteration creates excellence. Instead of waiting until at the end of the process, we test early and often. Each design update in a cycle of small changes, small features, small module. Tested with a real user, of course, because great design is not about guessing. We can assuming something, but real user know what they want. So it's all about listening. Sometimes sometimes you also have throw away a good things that already works. Like like all the banking works apps might let you log in, transfer money, and pay bills. That's kind of works, right? But that's just work. The customer doesn't really care much. They need something more to the app that can feel something. So I'm going to show you some example on the case study about how I iterate and throw away good things. So one of our client launch they want to launch a super app. It had everything on the app. It had saving, loans, insurance, bill payments, everything. Like on paper, the app is very powerful, technology-wise is good, but there's things that are missing, which is the customer, the user feel overwhelmed to the app. So once you open the app, it feel so many things to look at, so many things to do. So it's kind of like too many options, too many steps, for example, right? So that's what test and iterate can mean. We rethought it, we discuss again, and then we try to focus on the thing that a user and a business like the client needs. We try to find a thing in common that what is this app is all about. So and then we come conclusion the app need to be more focused on saving. So we created the app to make saving money simple and rewarding.
Can I ask Asfar, just maybe you can
Yeah,
elaborate for the audience?
can
So
yeah,
when let's say in an example like this, when we test and iterate,
yeah.
are you testing with just, let's say, the client, or are you testing somehow like a focus group or with potential customers? Like who's the audience we're testing with, let's
So
say, for these kind of features?
understand. So the audience is important as well to get the real and most curated data, right? So mostly like I said in the beginning, we need to test it as early as possible. So the first step that we iterate, it can be a small group. We have a focus group, like we set up a few people and then we test it. And then if that's okay, then we move to the next step. And then we test again. We move to the next step until in the launch. We also iterate after the product launch. For example, like you can see in the first cycle, we test on the small group, and then the next one we test on the real customer, and then when the launch, we test on the not just real customer, is like proper customer, right? So that's if that answer your question, Tom.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So you like
Mm.
there's always a cycle of testing
Yeah,
and iterating, and it just expands in terms of size, right? Because
correct.
at the initial stage, you don't want to have too many people maybe seeing the app or exposed to it. But then once it launches live, you might have, hundreds of thousands of people using the app. And then on that big scale, you might get like new data, or, okay, if we figure out, oh, maybe this thing is not quite working. So you're just
Yeah,
always updating and iterating. No, that makes sense. Thanks
like
for that.
for example, in this screen, right? The in technology wise, both app have the same features. Nothing wrong with it. There's not different on about technology. Both has same features, same module and whatnot. The difference is only experience, and that's what come from iteration. So that's how we design it. So different from the other app. So the left one, the first screen, I think most of the apps gonna look like this account, and then features, and the right one is created. So we have a balance, and then we have add money, and then that's all your savings information will come in. So yeah, that's come iteration to perfection. Okay, so the next 2 point I'm gonna say about customer experience, the product and detail build trust. So what is experience is the product. So we can't separate product and experience. That's what I think. Like if you think about you go to the restaurant, right? Like you order the food might be good, but what if the waiter like ignore you, you calling him, then the waiter doesn't come, or the menu is confusing. The menu have a lot of words that's currently right now, or bill take forever, right? The food is fine, but the experience is broken. And for the customer, that is all matters. In terms of detail build trust, is all about how the app loads, and then when you tap it, how did you feel?
Does it feel like, I guess, organic, right? Because I know definitely when I use some apps, like if I use one of, let's say, like the modern banking apps, they have a lot of like micro animations and little things that
Yes.
feel like more natural. And then you look compared to some of the old legacy banking apps, and they're
Mm.
very like clunky. So it really makes you feel a bit like, did they take care in making this? Is actually gonna work well. And then I think, like you were saying, as far the design reflects then on the brand, right? So if the design
Correct.
is bad, experience is slow, you think, oh, probably their processes are bad, or they don't think things through, or they don't take care to finalize the details. So my loyalty or trust in that brand is like lower.
Exactly. So you mentioned about animation. Like if the animation is great, user will not, wow, the animation is perfect. It's not like that. They feel it. They're not gonna say that they just like feel satisfaction. So that's detail sometimes matters. Okay, I'm gonna show you some example on experience is the product and also detail matters. Is one of the project Bling in Jordan. We we try something new on the what you call it. Instead of we are using button to move to the next step when you fill up the form or you want to transfer money. So we use swipe gesture, like Instagram stories and whatnot. So if you want to submit, you just swipe and then it will submit. In testing, it's okay in a small group, and then we try to build it, and then when the product launch, sometimes some things fell off. That lot of user feedback, they're not confident that the data was being submitted. It's like swipe to submit is doesn't feel the security. So we have to iterate that. So it's just simple as we put the button, and then that suddenly user felt secure and trusted the process. So yeah, sometimes the flashy idea kind was not the best idea, but the right design was the one that made customer feel I think confident and cared for.
I
So
think
yeah.
I think yeah, that's a very good, I think, point to make, is like, especially sometimes as designers or
Mm.
creatives, like you might feel very, I mean, we always want to push the boundaries, right? Because
Exactly.
nothing new will be created if we're just always following the same thing, right? So it's good to always
Exactly.
try something new, but sometimes it's like, as a, let's say, a designer or professional in, technology, you see things one way, but then when you're kind of day to day or layman's user actually
Mm.
engages with it, they have a totally different view, right? So it's like always creating for your audience, right? Rather
Yeah.
than
So
for yourself.
the interesting thing is about the swipe thing. Is it's not like our kind of thing is we collaborate with the client. So this idea we brainstorm with the client. So I think this is a good idea. We try to assume and then we test it's okay. And then when the product launch, oh it's not. So I think the key point is that we can have try to be brave to try new things. If not, then we can just back to the normal things. So that's what iterate and test and iterate, make it more unique. And then because when you iterate to perfection, you don't just build a product. So you create experience, people will never forget. Like people will frustrated with the experience, like with the swipe thing, but we fix it. But if we do it correctly, like the one that I showed you in the case study first one, if the design is really delight, then they might tell your friends, something like that.
Yeah, you want word of mouth to spread. So it's more like
Yeah,
be brave and iterate. Like
yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's it.
All right, go ahead. Okay, I think sorry, on that note, actually it's as far I think your section is you've covered it quite well. And I think you've given some nice examples and thank you for that.
Thank
So
you.
I think now that leads us to our kind of final little bit, which is, I mean, very much related to, I think, what we spoke about, designing for the customer and designing for people's kind of uniqueness. Because, again, you're designing banking or fintech apps for, hundreds of thousands of people potentially, right? And everyone is a little bit different. So how do you make an experience that's not very vanilla, right? Something that kind of can connect with lots of different types of ages, psychographic profiles, demographics, like even financial statuses. And, that's really where I think things like personalization can come in handy, right? So when you kind of mix automation and personalization, and of course now we have AI, which really is taking that all to another level, we can really create, almost like a one general app that is actually very personalized to lots of different people. So I think Tanaswari is going to take us through a little bit about how we make that big experience feel a little bit more connected to each of us. So please go ahead, Tanaswari.
Thanks, Tom. And I love what Asfar shared about test and iterate. He was talking about an app shouldn't be overwhelming the user, but it should give a delightful experience. This is where personalization comes in. So, okay, let's look how we've been building and refining personalization in bank apps like Blink, Audi, and other projects that we have done. So, when we say personalization in UX, mean the app should add up to you, not the other way around. It should know what matters most and show up at the right moment. So, where every time when you open an app, it should feel like it's yours. It should feel like one step ahead, and it feels like you already know what you need. So there are three key parts when we talk about personalization. First, context. Second, behavior. Third, adapt and preference. Context is, for example, like Google Map is suggesting you the fastest route. So though in a banking app, it shows the right balances, actions, and the insight right there the moment when you log into a bank app. Behavior means the app learn and optimize for the user at what they do most in the app. For example, in banking app, suggest like your most recent beneficiaries or the most recent billers, so that you can send money and pay bills just in few taps, like without overwhelming flows or screens. Adapt and preference. The app should remember your preference and adapt as what you choose. For example, Spotify is remembering your playlist, or Grab is suggesting you home rides. So when we put all these three contexts together in an app, you will feel it's personal, it's yours, it's relevant that every time when you use an app. So, okay, let's dive in detail of all those three parts. Contextual. Can we move to the yeah? Contextual. So, what is contextual? Contextual basically showing the right info at the right time for the users. If you see, the dashboard is made for the real users. At the top, you see your balance right away. You don't need to tap, you don't need to search. And there's a key actions like send money, pay bills, QR pay are right in front of you. Like you can do the action quickly. And below that, you get clear insights like saving pots, term deposit, or monthly spending. All you can see in one glance, like without cluttering or messy. So, for example, if you want more, you want to explore more, there are nice, clean bottom navigation that you always can explore. This is personalization needs, like giving you what you need when you need without cluttering the information or details or even in the design. So guys, I have a poll questions for you. So you can drop it your question, your answers right on uh, the quizzes that I asked. So my question to you all, when you open a banking app, what's the first thing you check? Is it your balances, your spending transaction, you want to see budget goals, or if there's something else, drop it in the chat.
I've just launched the poll, so everyone should see on their screen, and you can pick. So I see already a couple of answers come through, about 9. So yeah. Oh, okay. Almost half have answered now. So I think you just give it a few more seconds, and we'll. Okay, 13. Come on, guys, 50%. We just need a few more answers. Let's get to at least 80%. I mean, there's definitely I guess I can secretly see. I don't think everyone else can see the answers, but there's a very clear winner coming in. Oh, there's also one in the chat. To pay or transfer. Yeah, I think that would be transactions, right, Amit? Okay, I think we have about 60% answered, so I can reveal to you the question. Let me just the answer. Sorry, wait. Let me just end the poll. So I think can everyone see on their screen the poll results, or is it just
I
me as?
I can
Oh, here,
see the.
share results here. I think
Oh
you
yeah,
should
I
also
got
know.
it. Okay, most of them answer balance.
Mm.
Yeah, like even for myself, like the first thing I want to see is the balance though. Like how much do I have in my account? Like is it decreasing or increasing?
Can I afford another expensive coffee today, or
Yeah.
do I need to save?
All
Okay.
right, this is fair answer. Okay. I'm moving to the next part, which is behavior. Behavior, the next, okay. Behavior. Okay, so what is behavior? The app for me is like the behavior means the app learns what you do most, like makes it effortless the next time. For example, imagine an emergency situation in your family, right? You need to send money like quickly right now, and then the moment you tap send money, the app shows you most reasons, and then in one tap you land on this screen, right? It shows exactly who you are sending to, suggesting your usual accounts, and all you have to do is enter the amount, hit it send, pam, the money moves like in second. So you don't have to search, or there's no delays when you want to send money. So this app is basically done in Blink. This shows like Blink app shows like adapts to you faster, and it feels like it was designed just based on your habits, for the user's habits. Okay, let's move to the next part, which is, yeah, adapt and personalize. This screen is where personalization really starts to feel human. So in a banking app, we always have a profile settings, and this is one of the example from our project, which is Audi. Like when, for example, you want to switch language from this app, you want to switch language, the whole app updates instantly. or you want to turn on biometric. The next time when you log in, you don't need a PIN, you just need a Face ID. This is where it comes like choices for the users, like it gets adapted on the app, so you don't need to figure out, or also allowing user to personalize, allow the action for the user, what they like, what they want in their app. So that is adapt and personalize. And I think I have another question, poll too. If your banking app could adapt one thing for you automatically, what would it be? Is it like spending insights, giving you alerts? Oh, you need to pay bill, or you need to do term deposit or something, payment shortcuts, team personalization, or if there's something else, like you can drop it in the chat.
Yeah, there's the poll is active now, so everyone can drop their answers in. Oh, this one's definitely a much more close race. I think the previous one was it was a kind of very unanimous that people want to know how much money they have in their account right now.
Yeah.
This one is much more of a close run. All right, we're getting. It's very interesting the personalization part, because there's so many, like you were saying, Tan, right? There's so many factors, right? And there's so many little like moving parts, because it's like, okay, I might be looking for spending, right? Like what's my total spend, as like the first thing I want to see on the app. But then literally a person next to me might be like, no, I'm not so bothered about spend. I want to be able to transact quickly, right? Maybe it's like a father who's got kids studying abroad. They want like a family banking thing. So for him, it's like, how can I send money quickly? Let's say. So there's like so many hundreds of like layers and aspects, and my age, my where I live, all these things can affect, right? Like what I want in the app. So being able to create an experience like that also, because I think we spoke about also like how you, let's say, tier. Okay, let's say you're showing one widget first and then you're showing spends second, but then how do we, like, when you have the same app but it actually shifts those elements, right, depending on a person, or maybe how the app looks. Like if I'm a premium customer, maybe the app looks gold, or the UI has like a more premium look. But if I'm like a everyday customer, the app has a different look. So that's, I guess, personalization. That's like, it's like the app's always adjusting to you, right? I guess it's like another level of complexity than when you create that experience, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's always added based on users' behavior
Mm,
and preferences. That's what the parts over here that I explained regarding contextual behavior and adapt and preferences. So
mm,
we have answers here. Okay, most of them they answered payment
mm,
shortcuts. Okay. Yeah, that's most common. All you want, like for example, in a banking app, what the most frequent things that we do is basically that we want to send money or pay bills. These two are the most common things after like viewing your balance, right? There are very less people say theme and
right.
personalization. Okay.
So I guess maybe people want more, or if you look at more of a overall thing, is people want the functional part first, right? Like
Yeah.
they want to be able to execute their transactions and see their information, because it's banking, right? I mean, it's your money. It's like a very important part of your life, right? Like you're paying your bills or your kids' school fees or your loans or whatever it might be. So I think that probably would always be one of the more predominant things, right? It's like executing actual transactions, right? And then it's like the theme and personalization is maybe a little bit more of a nice to have as soon as you have those top level items.
Yeah, and also personalization is not about like giving users what they ask for it. It's
Mm.
about like allowing what they need next. So
Mm.
I think that's what is personalization.
I think that's
And
a good way. That's a very good way to phrase it. It's almost anticipating the needs, not just making it look pretty, but actually giving them what they might want or they might need in the future, right?
I think I've come to the last slide of it, and also I want to mention this, like as Steve Jobs used to say, our job is to figure out what users want before they do, and people don't know what they want until you show it to them. So I think it's very important. It's our job to define, to look for what actually users want in a banking app or in any other app. So yeah, that's allow personalization from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Tanaswar. And I think that's a really good kind of quote to end with because I think yeah, if Apple was always just waiting for people to tell them what they wanted, I don't think we'd have iPhones. We'd still be using kind of Nokia style handsets, right? So sometimes you have to kind of almost come up with something that users might need rather than they wait, right? Because people don't know what they don't know. So yeah, that's a very good one. So yeah, thank you very much, Ali, Tanis, and Asfar. We really appreciate that, your insights and all the time you've taken to explain, the processes and the background of customer experience and how to design it. I think now we'll open the floor for a bit of Q&A. So if anyone has any questions that you'd like to ask, please drop it in the chat. Just let me know that you're able to drop it in the chat. So you can add any questions in the chat, or you can obviously send it to us. Thank you, Amit. No worries. We're glad you enjoyed the session. So yeah, if any questions, just drop it in there. There was one question that someone had sent to me directly was, so what's your favorite part about designing UIs and UX? I don't know, maybe Asfar or Tanaswar, you can take that on. So what's your favorite part of actually designing the UIs or a UI?
Um, I will take that answer, especially in banking on designing a bank app. It's very quite challenging and hard when it comes, like, you have banks have lots of requirements, lots of security, but when it comes to UI UX is our job to figure out what user actually want to do quick, what the action should be really clear for them, how user can feel safe in this app, or how they can, how UI should not overwhelm the user, but it should be delightful for them. So when we have all these, like, very hard strict rules in banking app, it's our job to make it a delightful experience for the users. Yeah, I hope that answers
So
my.
delighting the user, creating
Yeah,
experience that like delights
yeah,
people, that
yeah,
satisfaction.
yeah,
Okay,
doesn't, like, not overwhelming them.
that makes sense. That makes sense. As far, what about for you? What's your favorite part of designing UIs?
From my side, the favorite, I think the most common thing that I will do, like I love to do, is to find inspiration. So because when you want to create a new UI, a new design, right? So you need to understand the branding, whatnot. But I think the most favorite thing is the reference. So it's kind of like a shopping. You browse all the design, inspiration and whatnot. I can do that. I can take this. I can take this, and then you put it all together like a factory. It's kind of Frankenstein kind of thing.
Frankenstein. Okay.
Yeah, and then you be your own. Yeah, that's my favorite part, I think.
Okay, no, that's quite cool. I mean that makes it, yeah, because you can explore, you can see what works here,
Yeah.
what works there, and sometimes new combinations create something very unique, right? So that's a good that's a good point. We have another interesting question here. So your thoughts on using AI, artificial intelligence, to run personalization on fintech products? So I guess it's, what's the what's the application, let's say, of AI to create personalization of fintech products? And also, do you feel embedded fintech will compete with traditional banks one day? I don't know, Ali, maybe I know you're quite passionate about AI, so maybe you can give us a bit of input on that.
Sure. True. AI today is actually being used for personalization of fintech products. For example, when we talk about personalization of your spending, categorization of your spending, financials and inclusions, all of these engines actually is using AI. Also, when we talk about, let's say, more of, I believe that's one of the second questions, which is AI into automation aspects. Most of the onboarding journeys today, we use AI to identify, to scan the documents, to take selfies, and we are depending on AI technologies to provide seamless experience for the customer. And still, we are respecting the compliance and the rules of the countries and the regulators. Now, the impact always will be there. When we talk about customer information, the sensitive information, we are capturing the biometrics of the customers. So most of the countries in MENA region, especially that, they will not allow an AI to be hosted outside of the same country. Like if you are in Bahrain, most probably your AI needs to be hosted in Bahrain. It cannot be hosted like in Europe or in US. So that's more of data security aspects from the national security agencies. And end of the day, whatever AI model you have, you can always deploy it locally in your local cloud. The second part of the first question, which was more of, do you feel that embedded fintech will compete with the traditional banks one day? First of all, when we talk about traditional banks, they are not like living in the past. Most of the traditional banks, which we categorize it today, they have up-to-date systems, they have innovative systems. Embedded fintechs will not compete with banks. They need to coexist with each other, in my point of view. They need to collaborate with each other, in my point of view. So it is not about competing, it's about coexistence, harmony between both of them. Both of them can provide benefits to each other. So it's more of a collaboration, in my point of view, and it's not a competition anymore.
I think that's definitely well said. That collaboration is the future, right? I mean,
True.
especially when you have banks that are starting to offer non-bank services, and you have non-banks like telcos offering bank services. It's like, I think people think it's like competing, and sometimes it might be a little bit, but coexistence is always going to be more beneficial to both parties than trying to fight against each other, so to speak. Um, there's one question here from Miss Effendi. So, what is the best way to understand our users' target audience, like how they think, or how they think and what they think? I think Asfar, maybe that might be kind of linked to the testing and iterating. So maybe you can give us a little bit of a insight on that one.
So what is the best way to understand our user target audience? Like
Hmm.
how they think and what they think.
How do you get inside the mind of the user?
Okay, I think so we have a what we call it a method that we're using, which is kind of what we call it human-centered design. So that method involves asking the user what, like for example, what Tanis did right now, right? So we need to understand uh what their pain point in the current. If we doing uh, a new app, so we need to know perspective on their other competitor, what are the pain point, and how we can help that in terms of in their technology or maybe in the experience and whatnot. So when we have that pain point, then we can target it to uh, the
So it's like creating I guess you define like the personas, you create like
yeah,
your almost user journeys of like a typical user would go through X, Y, and Z. So you try and, I guess, if I can use the word, be
yeah,
empathetic, right, to like
yeah,
the
that's the word.
experience.
So we have a user persona. We try to segregate the user. Maybe this user have a family, this user doesn't have family. We try to think of what they think, what our family men do,
Mm,
what a student do, things like that, like a common thing.
mm,
And then we try to like the persona, we try to find the persona, like the real user, and then we try to test it. When we have the persona, we try to mock the wireframe,
hmm
prototype it, and then test it to them, and then we iterate from that. So then we know what other persona think, what they
mm,
think.
mm.
Mm.
That makes sense. Yeah. So you kind of make some assumptions and then you test those assumptions against like a real live, okay, this is a
Correct.
student or this is a father or a mother or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's a good one. I think we have time for one last question. I think it's quite a kind of an interesting one from Mr. Bashir. So, in B2B or business to business models like fintech infrastructure, we serve businesses who then serve end users, right? So it's like a client's client. So, what's the best way to influence or co-shape a partner's customer experience design without overstepping? Okay, that's an interesting one, especially when your product is one layer deeper in the value chain. Okay, that's really interesting question. I don't know, maybe Tanis or Ali, you might jump in on that one. So how do you like influence the customer experience design where when maybe your app or your fintech is only one layer of the experience, right? It's not like you own the full thing. You have, let's say, maybe you're only responsible for digital onboarding or you're responsible for payments, like a payments section where the app might go to a payments gateway. How do you make sure that customer experience is like synonymous with everything, but without overstepping, right? Like you don't want to tell the client, hey, this is not great. We need to fix it. So Ali maybe can give us a little, shed a bit of light on the
Yeah. So
influencing aspect.
true. So one of the major challenges actually that also sometimes we face when we go and design specific user experience, I believe Asfar faced it with me multiple times, that we want to design the user experience in a certain way, but later on we get like faced issue that the API integration, the API sequence is not as does not support our current user experience. So from the vendor aspect that, okay, fine, we design our APIs on a certain order based on our understanding, but on the same time, they didn't cater for the customer experience, how flexible the API flows will be. So, in my point of view, the best way uh, to influence the customer experience without overstepping, that you first of all you need to provide flexibility on how we are calling your APIs or how we are consuming your services. The second thing, whenever you start designing these things, don't think about it from how my partner will use it. Think about it from how the customer actually will use it. What will be the use cases for the customer? How I can enable my partner on customizing it, on the ways which they want to use it, on how they and or you can say it like in a different way, on how simple it can be consumed later on. Maybe they don't need to call 5 APIs, maybe they need to call 2 APIs. Maybe we can support different models, different flows of APIs for each customer use case.
Okay. So I think what you're saying is like, you want to show the real like, let's say like, show the facts almost, right? So show like that's the best way to convince, right? Is you don't want to say, okay, this is bad, but you show like, look, this is how it's done maybe, and this is how we could improve it. And again, it's that idea of, co-creation and collaboration and making sure that the experience is good for everyone, right? Because if a partner's flow or experience is great and that is integrated with, your client's app, it's obviously going to have a positive impact, on the overall experience. So all the parts have to work well, right? Okay. I think that's kind of about time now. We don't have any more questions, and I think we've kind of you guys have shared a lot of good food for thought and a lot of good information about this customer experience and how to design it. So, Ali, Tanaswari, and Asfar, thank you so much, and of course, our audience who joined in and engaged with us. We really appreciate your time and hope you found the session very impactful. We'll be sharing a recording of this in a couple of days. So if you want to kind of, check back on any of the sections or, rewatch any of the insights, we'll have it up for you guys. So thank you, everybody. And I think we can end it there and give you back a couple of minutes of your time. So again, thank you, Ali. Thank you, Tanis. Thanks, Asfar. And thank you, everyone who joined us in.